1902 hours. With her campsite looking like a catalog spread for introverts who brunch in the wild, Alice finally let herself sit down and peel off her boots. Her socks were damp. Her calves felt like they'd been worked over with a baseball bat. Her stomach was loudly negotiating for calories. Time to reward herself. She popped open the smart stove lid and grabbed one of the heat-safe meal packs. She crammed into the hover cart at the last minute. Pad Thai, vacuum-sealed in a little foil pouch that claimed it could be chef-ready in 90 seconds. It wasn't exactly what she'd planned. Originally, she'd gone through 6 recipes and even printed out a meal schedule. Xander had shown her how to use that stupid collapsible spice rack. They were going to make campfire stew. There was talk of marshmallows. But once he bailed with that charming, oops, double-booked myself grin, her motivation had crumbled faster than freeze-dried tofu.
Whatever,
She muttered, setting the pouch into the stove's heating plate.
still a pad thai is still pad thai.
She gave the stove an encouraging tap. It beeped politely and began to hum. While it warmed up, she wandered over to the stream again, more out of nervous habit than necessity. On the way back, she snapped a few more photos, catching the glow of her stream lights as twilight set in, and tried not to think about the quiet. It was the kind of stillness that made your brain go louder. Back at the stove, the pad thai steamed when she tore the pack open. It smelled passable, warm, a little artificial. But she was hungry, and her brain was too tired to complain. After brushing a bug away with the tent instruction manual, she sat on her chair, scooped a bite with her all-in-one spork, and stared out into the trees as she chewed.
You better regret missing this.
She said out loud, to the food, to the air, to Xander, to herself. A bird somewhere in the canopy let out a single unimpressed chirp. As the last bites disappeared and the golden hour faded into blue dusk, Alice stood and stretched, her spine popping like bubble wrap. She bagged up the empty meal pack and dumped it into the hover cart. She'd throw it in the trash tomorrow. Then her eyes drifted toward the hill, and beyond it, to the not even visible speck that was the public toilet facility. Far, so far. Like, trek back up this damn hill at night kind of far?
Absolutely not.
She declared. And just like that, the prophecy of her chaotic roommate, Lisa, came true.
You'll thank me when you're half asleep at 2 a.m. and hear a coyote scream.
Alice looked down to the hover cart again and popped open a side pouch. Sure enough, there it was. The neon purple portable peeing funnel Lisa had gifted her with entirely too much enthusiasm.
Look,
Lisa had said, handing it over like it was a family heirloom.
if you're going to pretend to be a badass outdoorswoman, you're gonna need the right accessories. This one's got anti-drip.
Alice had rolled her eyes so hard she'd seen her past lives. But now she held it like it was the key to the city. She gave it a test rinse near the stream, marveling at how something could be simultaneously undignified and life-saving. This was not the experience she thought she'd be documenting when she imagined this weekend. Still, she was adapting, thriving, even. Solo dinner, check. Camp setup, check. Wilderness urination, pending success. Maybe Lisa had a point. Maybe she could do this. But not before she sniffled and a tear escaped anyway. She headed back to her tent. With everything set up and her meal done, she just stood there, unsure what to do with herself. Probably pretending to enjoy the nature was the next move. She remembered the picnic blanket she'd packed, retrieved it from the hover cart, and spread it out in front of the tent. She stretched out awkwardly, arms folded under her head, eyes tilted toward the canopy. Above her, the sky had cooled to a dusky blue, with the faintest gold clinging to the horizon like an afterthought. The branches swayed gently, scattering the light into shards like a mosaic losing its fire. Moments into listening to the symphony of the forest, She felt awkward and restless. She reached for her patch tab and opened a saved file of her assignment.
Okay, schematic-wise, if I realign the O ports along the radial neural sheath, I could bypass the need for dual inputs entirely. The splicing would need to be micro-threaded, but I could draft that model in under 2 hours if I get back early.
A bug landed in her hair. She sat up with a startled breath, brushed it away, and sighed.
Nope.
She muttered.
No homework. You're in the woods. Act like it.
She dropped her hands and let the rustling leaves fill the quiet again. Her pulse had picked up without her realizing. Not stress, just the hum of a brain that didn't know how to shut off. As her thoughts slowed, they slid sideways down a different path.
Tensions rise near the Eastern District. Officials claim the threat is minimal.
The news had come in soft, polished, and just vague enough to be unsettling. A border conflict brewing like a summer storm no one wanted to admit was real. Just enough heat to worry her mother, not enough to cancel weekend plans.
Are you sure it's safe going out there? Maybe wait until when things settle.
It's Red Pine, Mom. Half the city camps there. There'll be people all around me.
Alice let the memory play out, then scoffed softly and glanced toward the silent trees.
Yeah,
She said dryly.
about a mile away.
She pulled the blanket higher over her legs. The stream gurgled nearby, calm as ever. The world hadn't ended. The stars would come out soon. Everything was fine. 21:58 hours. Stars were already scattered across the velvet black sky as Alice made her way to the stream. A soft glow silicone toothbrush in one hand and a collapsible rinse cup in the other. The cold water caught the glow from her campsite, shimmering like a lazy mirror. She knelt at the edge and scooped a bit of water into the cup. The chill bit at her fingers, but she didn't mind. It grounded her. The brush buzzed to life between her teeth, its subtle vibration echoing inside her skull as she scrubbed it methodically. Brush, spit, repeat. She looked up through the trees, foam still on her tongue. The branches swayed gently in the wind, dark shapes against a darker sky. Then, she paused mid-brush, frowning. It was a low, mechanical noise, too heavy to be wind. She turned her head slowly toward the sound, eyes scanning the trees.
Maybe someone's lost a drone.
She thought.
One of those cheap tourist ones with bad navigation. Probably bouncing off tree trunks like a lost mosquito.
She imagined a family down the trail somewhere yelling,
Theo, I told you to set the perimeter lock. Now it's trying to mate with a pine cone.
She snorted quietly and spat into the stream. But the hum didn't fade. It grew, shifted, became layered, like multiple engines in formation. Alice froze, toothbrush dangling from her hand, rinse cup dripping at her side.
That's not a drone.
The hum deepened into a roar, and then the first explosion hit. It was distant, dull, more like a pressure pop than a bang. It rolled over the hills like a giant clapping once. Slow and heavy. Alice blinked at the sky, heart thudding. The hum had vanished.
Did someone's car explode?
That didn't make sense. There were no vehicles allowed past the parking grounds, and that was at least a mile away. Maybe 2. She rose slowly to her feet, toothbrush still in one hand, body on edge but mind lagging. Somewhere in the distance, faint but unmistakable, came the rise of human voices. Not laughter, not chatter, screaming. At first it didn't register. Her ears caught the noise, but her brain rejected it. It didn't belong here in the middle of the red pine woods. Not after a peaceful dinner. Not with the gentle stream still trickling behind her like nothing was wrong. Another shriek pierced the air, louder this time. Her gut clenched. Her skin prickled. She felt it then. The shift. Like the whole forest was holding its breath. Like the trees were listening. She should run. No, wait. Stay. Her fingers brushed the patch tab on her arm before her brain could catch up. Hide. The second explosion answered for her. It hit closer, much closer. The ground jumped beneath her boots. A shockwave of heat and sound slammed into her chest like a punch. Her ears rang. A screaming creak followed. Wood, stone, something massive giving way. She stumbled back, her breath catching in her throat as her eyes up the hill. Above her, her camp. She saw the rocks first, tumbling loose from the ridge, slow as nightmares. Then the trees. One creaked. A long, awful, splintering sound like an old god exhaling. It leaned into the fall with dreadful grace, brushing past others as it collapsed. More followed, like dominoes in a death bowl. And then her tent vanished in an instant, swallowed by rolling stone and collapsing trunks. The air filled with dust. A scream rose in her throat but didn't make it out, because one of the trees, the last in the line, splintered at the base and fell. Straight toward her. She turned to run. Too late. The ground buckled under her, something massive slamming into her shoulder. Darkness punching her into the dirt.